Hi everyone, it's Dr. Marco. Welcome to the health tip this week. So I've had a number of people in the last little while that have hurt themselves, like a sprain, those kind of things. And often we get asked, well, what should I do? Should I put ice on it? Should I put heat on it? And we're going to take a bit of a different stance on it because traditionally, when we were in school, they said, do the RICE protocol: rest, ice, compression, and elevate. And they've added some other stuff to it. But conceptually, why they think you need to put ice on something is because the old concept was if your body gets hurt, before there were medicines and antibiotics that could hypothetically come to the rescue, the body's always going to presume that your skin was broken and there might be a potential infection, so it's going to over-inflame it to really just overreact, basically inflaming the area more than it needs to, just in case. So we're going to take a bit of a different stance and say, well, we think the body's kind of intelligent and it wouldn't do that. It'll realize if the skin got broken or not, or if there was something invaded, you got a puncture wound or something. We're going to presume that the physiology of the area is smart. And we're going to assume that the body's intelligent too. So that's the one concept. You're going to say, okay, you're going to put ice on it to reduce the over-inflammation. The other concept, people say, well, you want to put heat on it because heat will help the blood flow and it'll help more blood come into the area and remove the toxins. Okay, that's a possibility too. We're going to look at it like, okay, well, if an animal in the wild gets hurt, let's say a dog is running and it wipes out and it sprains its paw or something like that. Obviously, it doesn't have the ability to do put ice or heat on it, right? And if it's a dog in the wild, obviously if human dogs, you're going to take them to the vet and they're going to do the traditional human things that we do. But a dog in the wild typically, or any animal, typically when they get hurt, when people have observed them, usually they stop eating, so they fast. They might go eat some grass or something like that, just to nibble on some, get some chlorophyll or something for some reason, and then they just rest a lot. And then what happens is if this paw is hurt, they'll slowly start walking on the threes, and they'll always be moving it a little bit, trying to get it onto the ground and seeing and testing it to see when it can start walking. So obviously the gait will be modified and those kind of things, but then slowly it'll actually start, using its foot and it'll actually be moving. Animals are basically on the ground, so they're always going to be grounding themselves, if you understand the concept of grounding. Grounding is, or earthing, they say, you're touching the earth with your bare feet or the bare skin of your body, and the electrons that are around the earth will get into your body and help reduce inflammation, help take down free radical damage and those kind of things. So grounding is a way that people use use the earth to help themselves, sort of thing. So the whole idea with ice, so I'm gonna give a counter argument. So I'm gonna say the ice thing, we probably don't want to do that, and just because it's almost like taking a medication if something hurts. If I move this far and I just at this point I'm going to have a really bad pain because I'm stretching the tissue more than it needs to, and I'm going to create more damage. If I take a medication, I won't feel that break that my body's put on it, and I'll actually move more than I should past the area, and I could be creating more damage while I'm feeling better. So putting ice on it, you're going to deaden the nerves. Your brain is not going to perceive the body part, so it won't really know how to heal the body part properly. So that's one thing I'm going to probably say, don't put ice on it. And I'm going to tell everybody, probably a good idea to fast as well, because as soon as you eat, digestion takes more energy than pretty much any other process in your body, and your body never wants undigested food in here because it could ferment and putrefy and it could kill you, basically. So as soon as you eat, your body has to direct its resources to the digestion, and that'll take it away from healing. So there's a guy that I follow online. He's had some good interviews. If you saw the interview series "Can You Catch a Cold" a while ago, the 4 videos that I made of his interview with Daniel Reuters, who wrote the book "Can You Catch a Cold?" Alex Zach, that guy who interviewed him, he tries to stay in shape, and he was running. He got a little distracted, and he caused an ankle sprain. So typically an ankle sprain, they're going to say it's weeks of therapy and rehabilitation. So I'm going to show you an image of his ankle right here. So that's what his ankle looked like pretty much after the sprain. And now what he did is He was using like resonance patches. He put, like patches on his body. He used castor oil. He did a lot of grounding. He did a lot of movement. He used elastic bands and kind of tried to move it as much as he could within the range of not being too sore. He did Epsom salt baths, those kind of things. He did saunas. And he was also fasting pretty much. And within about 10 days, I'm going to show you what he's doing now already, right now. Take a look at this video. So within 10 days, a thing that hypothetically should have taken, weeks to heal in the traditional methods, he did it in about 10 days. He's got his mobility back and his strength. So those are some things to think about when you really get hurt. Obviously, if you got fractures and broken bones, medical system. And otherwise, strains and sprains and those kind of things, if they're not really super severe, you might want to try these kind of options here. Trust nature, trust your body to heal itself properly, because the body is intelligent and we don't necessarily have to do all these excess of things from the outside. Just connect with nature, connect with moving, and see what can happen. So that's your help tip for this week.